There's a silly saying that goes around that it seems like really famous deaths happen in threes. And we've had a couple the last number of days. And today is the one that might have hit me the hardest. Actor Sidney Poitier, we have just found out this morning, has passed away at the age of 94. This wasn't only one of the greatest actors of all time. Appearing in some of the most vital and important movies in history, Heat of the Night, and my personal favorite of his, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is like one of the most pivotal, I think, films in history. It reminded me a lot of Star Trek, the original series, in some ways, that like it broke so much ground so far ahead of its time. Like, it's hard for us to think about today when you go back and look at that movie, to take ourselves, and what year did it come out? 66, 67?
Yeah.
Try to teleport yourself back to that era and have a movie like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner come out. I mean, which is absolutely remarkable. He, of course, then was given an honorary Academy Award, I believe at the same time that Denzel Washington and Halle Berry got their Academy Awards too. And just simply one of the most powerful presences there's ever been in cinematic history. And he passes away at the age of 94. Rob, I mean, you and I have talked about Sidney Poitier a lot in the past. You hearing about his passing, number one, but number two, when you reflect on his career, what are the things that you think about most?
Well, I mean, he was the first black man to win the Academy Award for Best Actor for Lilies of the Field. And, I was just telling Kimberly, one of my favorite stories about Sidney Poitier is Jamie Foxx's story about how when he was nominated for an Academy Award for playing Ray Charles in Ray, there was an intervention. And because Jamie Foxx was partying too much, having too much fun, and Sidney Poitier basically came in and straightened him out. And and it's a great story. You can look it up on YouTube. And I think the thing about Sidney Poitier is every time you saw him, there was a sense of grace about him. Whenever he spoke in any of his performances, even when he did an action movie like Shoot to Kill, he brought a gravitas, and there was always something larger than life about him, but not in an overbearing way, more in a, like you go up the mountain to see Sidney Poitier. If you're going to act with him, you better be centered. You better know who you are, because he had a presence like none other. And what a career he had. He broke boundaries. He was a philanthropist. He worked for many different causes. He was a wonderful man, and one of the true giants has left us.
I mean, and that's the thing. He was one of the true giants. I mean, when you go down through, you talk to a lot of actors. I've seen a lot of actors talked about their great influences, and Sidney Poitier's, his name is just one that comes up an awful lot. Kimberly, you heard about his passing this morning. You look back and reflect on the life and career of Sidney Poitier. What comes to your mind?
What comes to my mind is not only his work as an actor, but also a director. He directed Stir Crazy with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. And something I don't know if my mom will agree, but my dad definitely introduced me to a lot of comedy through Richard Pryor. My mom's not too happy about that. That's where I definitely learned the F word. But Stir Crazy was one of those movies that, you watch with your dad or your uncles, and he's like, let me show you some comedy. But also a child of the 80s, one of my favorite films that me and my sisters used to watch was Ghost Dad. We used to watch Ghost Dad we used to watch it, like we wore out that VHS, and he directed that as well. But also just in terms of the world, in order to evolve in terms of entertainment and as an actor, it's important to look back. That's where we get our giants from, is as we've evolved in the entertainment industry. And he's one of those actors that so many other actors have looked back on and not only said, oh, this guy's great, this is good. It's when you stand for something that's beyond your job title. You stand for something. And I agree with you, John. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? A film about interracial relationships in the time. 60s? I remember my mother telling me stories about how in the Black community that film really affected people, and was like, it wasn't just white community, it was Black and white communities that film impacted, and kind of nudged at, hey, let's all open our minds. And he was just such a regal man. He was just such
That's a good word for him.
his presence. He was just regal. And 94, a life well lived, and I think every actor will agree we're so blessed to have had him.
Rob, let me ask you this, because Guess Who's Coming to Dinner came out in 67. I know Star Trek, the original series, I think started airing in 66.
Yep. So the
66,
first year was the
68.
66, 67 year.
William Shatner and Michelle
Nichols,
who played Uhura, they made history with the first interracial kiss on network television. What season did that happen?
Third season. It was in the episode
so Sidney
Plato's
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner came first.
Yes, it did.
But still, a lot of history made in the 1 to 2 years.
Well,
span.
I think that you're right. I don't think they would have gotten away with it had something like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner been part of the culture.
Right.
You know, and then you could get away with those things. So
anyway, guys, once again, Sidney Poitier passes away at the age of 94, an iconic legend. What are your guys' thoughts on that? When you think about his incredible career and the influence he's had, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Whatever that is, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.